I would say no. If I were to hang my hat on, let's do it again.
Why did he put a B on the end of his ticker, do you think?
Who?
Binance. Zhang.
Oh, why did they put a
BNB.
I don't know.
Getting it 100% right all the time. Sorry, I'm going to stop this again because I've just stuffed that up. Welcome to this edition of the SA Crypto Market Analysis, and I'm James Preston.
I'm Graeme Tennant.
And we're here to bring you a bit of an analysis of the market. This episode is proudly brought to you by Blockchain Africa 2019. We're really excited to be official media partners of Blockchain Africa 2019. We're going to be at both iterations of the conference. They've got one version happening in Joburg at the Wanderers Club, and then the following week they'll be at the Cape Town International Convention Centre, where Helen Ziller is going to be speaking, along with Minister Beverly Schaefer, who's Minister of Economic Development in the Western Cape. So huge scoop there for Blockchain Africa. Can't wait to be there. Really hope that we'll see some of you there. And we're giving away a ticket. One lucky viewer is going to get themselves a ticket to Blockchain Africa 2019 at either Joburg or Cape Town. I'll tell you how after the episode. Let's get straight into it though, Graeme.
Cool.
Boring times, eh?
It is, unfortunately. I mean, I'd love to tell you that things are looking up and we're ready for the next bull rally, but at the moment the charts just aren't telling us that story.
So we're still bearish. I mean, we've got the Bitcoin chart here, and in your mind, we're still bearish, eh?
We are. Sound like a broken record by now, I think. But we just haven't seen the reversal pattern that we were looking for. We did have something developing at the end of last year, which at the start of 2019 in January looked like it could potentially break to the upside, and we've even drawn in that pattern there, the inverse head and shoulders pattern. But we never really got up to breaking that previous high point. So that's what we're really looking for if we're going to say, well, the end of the bull market, bear market is here, and we're looking for some upside as we want to see higher highs and higher lows. And as you can see, we just haven't had that, and the market has continued to fall and consolidate, and it's starting to squeeze, as you can see depicted by those pink lines. So we should see a move, but when that's going to happen, we don't really know, because we've been quite low volatility for quite a while now.
Now, at what point does it become a bull market? So we're in a bear market.
Absolutely, you can see clearly from top to bottom.
At what point here? I know on one of our earlier episodes, it was around about here when you would kind of say, no, we're in a bear market now, right?
Yeah.
At what point do you say we're now in a bull market? How do you know that the reversal is here?
Sure, so we need to get higher highs and higher lows. It's as simple as that. Okay. So that's really the definition of a bull market and a bear market is, are you getting higher highs and higher lows, or are you getting lower lows and lower highs? And as you can see, we've really just had more downward grinding movement the last couple of months.
Right. So in essence, this head and shoulder pattern here, had it continued and we'd broken up that neckline here,
yes, we
would have needed to go above that point there, am I right? And then bounce back to stay above. If that was a previous low, we need to bounce off that low and keep going. And then you'd start to say, look, we're looking like we're in a bull market.
Yeah, and then it's tough to say, because you don't want to call a bull market when you're at the top there, because then that's a little bit late to start buying in.
Right, okay.
You really want to be trying to identify the bull market nice and early.
Yes.
But like any market that's had the kind of punishment that Bitcoin has taken, when you start to recover, there's different levels that you have to almost break through on your way up. So this would have been level number 1, which would have been to break above that previous high point, and we didn't do that. So we kind of fell at the first hurdle, so to speak. And and this is starting to look more weak. So this is also just for starters, this inverse head and shoulders pattern is invalidated. It's no longer relevant, because we never broke above that level that we needed to. But now what we see is a consolidation of price, where the price action is starting to contract within a specific range, and that's shown by these pink lines. And that contraction of volatility means that we should expect to have a larger volatility move once it breaks out of either side of that triangle. Now, the balance of probability says that if it's a triangle, what happens going into the triangle will be the same as what happens going out of the triangle. So it's a continuation of the existing trend.
Right.
Hence the term continuation pattern.
Right.
So that's, I think, your high probability outcome of this current pattern that we have, and that's why we remain bearish. It's because we've been bearish on the way in, which means that we can expect to be bearish on the way out. And again, that's not a high probability, but that's maybe a 55 to 65% chance.
Okay, all right. So it's not a huge, like this one going in. You were pretty confident it was going to be a downside break.
Yeah.
You're a little less confident about it being a downside break, but
It really is a similar setup. I mean, you can see that we've contracted, we've got a continuation of the bear market, and we're having a similar contraction here. Let's hope we don't have to wait so long as we did first time round for the market to actually tell us which way it wants to go.
Yeah. And any signs for you? Well, actually, let's talk about the bottom a little bit later. I know we've got a couple of charts to get into. We're going to look at, right now, we're going to look at Tron, I believe.
Yes.
Let's look at Tron. We're in a bear market overall
Yes.
in the altcoin market, but Tron to you looking a bit bullish.
It is, surprisingly enough, and I'll hold my reservations on Tron from a fundamental side.
Sure.
And we'll talk directly to the chart. And I suppose surprisingly for me, this is one of the most bullish charts that we're seeing at the moment. And I think one thing to point out, yes, we are holistically, I think the crypto market is still in a bear market, I think it's safe to say. But when Bitcoin starts to move in a sideways fashion, often your alts start to get a little bit excited and you start to see a couple of them go. So on the whole, I think you definitely expect most of the market to be bearish, but you are going to get a couple of outliers. And Tron is one of those potential outliers. And we can see, I showed the head and shoulders pattern of Bitcoin previously that did play out. And this is an example of a head and shoulders which is set up at the moment. And this is probably, before we saw this movement outside of that, potentially it was starting to look quite good. And it can still play out to the upside. And if it does break above the top part of the structure, then we can look to take some long positions. But the last couple of days have actually been quite disappointing from a point of view of potentially seeing this pattern play out.
Right, but it's one to look out for.
It's definitely one to watch.
Okay,
absolutely.
Now let's look at
And we see from the past that once Tron starts to move, it goes like a rocket. So if this thing does break to the upside, you probably want to jump on board.
Those Tron supporters can be just like the Ripple supporters, eh?
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at the Litecoin chart.
Great.
Huge pump, which correlates with most of the other coins. There was a bit of a pump a couple of days back. But what's interesting here is the volume.
Absolutely.
Why more volume on Litecoin over the others?
I'm not sure why, but I think this is another exciting chart to have a look at. It's definitely looking a lot more bullish than Bitcoin. And we've got this decent move, which potentially, if you draw your head and shoulders here, that would be your neckline. It's actually broken potentially above that neckline.
Wow.
So whereas Tron is still sitting, waiting to break above, Litecoin potentially has done that, and it's coming back to test that support. So for me, Litecoin is the most attractive, and I like it from a fundamental perspective as well. This volume is also exciting, because you can see that not only have we broken to the upside potentially, but we've also had the market shown that there's been good support in that movement. That Litecoin is looking probably the best of all the coins, or at least the major coins, in my opinion.
One to watch. And finally, let's have a look at Binance Coin. All of these, it's important to note, all of these are on this similar time frame.
These are all, what do we say, daily charts. So each candle represents the price movements of a day.
Right.
So roughly speaking, it's about a 12-month period that we're looking over.
Right. So when I compare these to the other charts, this one's definitely had a lot more upside, a little bit similar to Tron. But of course, the fundamentals between Binance and Tron are very different. Although, what is interesting, Binance recently listed one of Tron's projects, which is BitTorrent. The BitTorrent coin, obviously Tron bought BitTorrent, so maybe there's a bit of correlation there. But Binance looking very bullish to you as well, hey?
I don't know if it's still looking bullish, but what I just wanted to highlight here was the big move that we've actually had.
Okay.
And I mean, I think the news that's exciting from Binance's perspective is they're looking to open up their different fiat exchanges.
Yeah.
We've seen the one in Jersey open up, they've got another one in Uganda of all places that can take in fiat. And I think some of that news has obviously filtered into the price speculation, and we've seen that move through Binance. I mean, it's been 100% move, it's doubled its value since the middle of December, roughly where we're sitting now, which is still exciting. And so for me, I wouldn't be jumping in right now. I'd probably be waiting for a pullback of some kind. And if it pulls back, then I would definitely look at some opportunities if the setup is correct to take a long position in Binance. And Huobi is the other one to watch out for as well, because that's obviously a competitor to Binance, but they're also launching their own fiat exchanges. For example, in the US now they've just launched. So, and the other thing they say about exchanges is that they're probably the only projects in the crypto space that are actually making money.
Yeah, that's right.
So at least you're on the end of a profitable business potentially when you're buying these tokens.
Absolutely, which adds to the fundamentals of these projects and whether people are going to jump in and invest.
Yeah.
All right, just before we go, Graeme, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. I'd like to ask you about the bottom.
Sure.
All right, so Graeme, a lot of people want to know where is the bottom. And obviously they want to know where is the bottom because they want to buy without downside.
Yeah.
But I understand that it's extremely difficult to call where the bottom is going to be.
Sure.
What I do want to ask though is, in your opinion, do you think we've seen the bottom?
If I was to make a call, I'd say no. I do think, like I said earlier, this is more than likely a continuation pattern than it is a bottoming pattern.
And again, we're on the daily.
This is the daily. It's a little bit more zoomed in the previous picture. So I'll give you two potential scenarios. Okay, so what we do see for sure is a contraction of the price, and a contraction of volatility in the price.
Right.
Okay. So what we expect from here is either a break to the upside of this upper trend line or a break to the downside of that trend line. That's pretty simple. So if we do break to the bottom, that's my bottom target. Okay, so that's about 2,500. Okay, I think that's where we're going. If we break this specific structure. If we break to the upside, which is in my opinion the lower probability outcome, but it's possible. So if we do break to the upside, I still expect to see some kind of violent move. It can be violent either direction when you get that price contraction. But again, like I said in the previous stage, once we break that level, we have certain support turned resistance levels that we now have to break through. And this is going to be the big one. Okay, so if we do break up really positively, I say that's our first big target, is to get back to the 5,000, 6,000 level.
Okay.
But that's where we're going to see some serious resistance potentially.
All right. So bottom line is, watch out for this continuation pattern.
Yep, that's what we're watching at the moment.
And that the bottom's probably not in.
Yeah.
If you had to make a percentage call, earlier you said you're probably 55, 45.
I'd say 65 to 70%
that the bottom's not in.
The bottom's not in.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there we go, folks. That's it for this week's episode of the Market Analysis Show here on SA Crypto with me, James Preston.
And myself, Graeme Tennant.
So I promised you that we were going to give you a ticket to Blockchain Africa 2019, who are the generous sponsors of this episode of Market Analysis. And if you are either in Joburg or Cape Town, you can choose which conference you want to go to. You are literally getting the value of equivalent 4,200 Rand. You can get up to basically up to 4,200 Rand off here by getting a free ticket to Blockchain Africa 2019. Here's what you need to do. You just need to log on to Twitter and tag SA Crypto and Blockchain ZA. That's their handle, at Blockchain ZA, with the hashtag BAC19, okay, which stands for Blockchain Africa 19. And then just tell us in one tweet why you deserve a ticket to Blockchain Africa 2019. So you need to make sure that your tweet starts with normal text. Don't start with tagging us, because obviously then it's not going to be seen. And the whole point of this is that we want you to share why you think you deserve a ticket with your friends. All right, so get onto Twitter, share with your friends why you deserve a ticket to Blockchain Africa 2019, tag SA Crypto, and we'll announce those winners in the next edition of the Market Analysis. Thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. From me, James Preston.
Myself, Graeme Tennant.
Again, it's goodbye.
Cheers.
Bye.